Hello, multipliers, and welcome to another episode of Legacy Discussions, where we leave legacies and not liabilities. So, I have been getting a lot of questions about how to get into real estate investing. And a lot of times it's regarding like what's the best strategy, and then also how much is it going to cost for me to get in. There's so many different ways to get into real estate investing, and the thing that you have to do is just find what you like to do, find your niche. My niche may be different from yours. So today what I want to talk about is all of the ways that you can invest in real estate. This does not mean that you're going to do all of these strategies. It's to find out which strategy best works for you based on your financial situation, your time commitment, and your capacity, and what you love to do. Like I am wanting to create more of passive income than active income. So with doing that, I find the strategies in real estate investing that will take less of my time, that will take less of the capacity and me having to be heavily involved. So I'm going to talk about those different ways. And then once we get to the sections that I'm actually using today, I'll give you more details about those. One thing that I never do, if it's a strategy that I have never done before, I'm going to tell you that, right? And then you will have to do your due diligence and find out how to do that strategy if that is a way that you want to enter into the real estate market. But the ones that I am experienced in, like buy and holding, I will give you as much information on this podcast as I possibly can. Another way that you can get tips and more information from me about how I invest in real estate and my different strategies that I use on a day-to-day basis is to follow me on social media, also subscribe to the podcast. And if you're really interested in joining the community, then there is a link down in the description where you can book a call with me and get more information about how to get into the community. So with that, I'm going to talk about all the ways to invest in real estate. And first, we're going to talk about using your own home, which is also known as house hacking. So I'm sure that y'all have probably heard the term house hacking. So what does that actually mean? That means if you are living in a home by yourself and you have extra bedrooms and you want to rent those bedrooms out, then you can do that. That is a form of becoming a landlord, right? Or becoming a real estate investor. You're taking your current asset that you have, that you're already living in, that you're already paying the mortgage and expenses on, and now you're allowing additional cash flow to come in by renting out the spaces. So if you rent a room, you would obviously have a shared kitchen. Depending on where the bathroom is, it can be a shared bathroom, or some houses have en suites, meaning that there's a bathroom inside of the bedroom. So whatever that looks like, you'll just have to come up with what's, I guess, can be utilized when renting that space. Is it just the bed? Is it just whatever's in that room? Or do they have access to the kitchen, the garage, and other things? Some people don't like to do this because, yes, you do have a stranger living in your house. Now, with that, if you don't want to have a stranger, it can be somebody that you know, instead of them renting an apartment. If they wanted to rent the space where you are and rent a room, then that is also an option. The other thing is rent secondary space for storage. So if you do have a garage, or if you have a mobile storage unit in the back and you want to rent that out for people to store some of their belongings that they don't need every day, that is another option. The one that many people, and I'm sure you've heard of this, is Airbnb. So there's some folks that have secondary homes that they're only in for the summer, or that they're only in a few weeks out of the month or out of the year. That is a great opportunity if you're interested in bringing or getting some revenue off that property. Then you can utilize Airbnb to rent out the space while you're not there. When it comes to, well, I'm going to need it for the summer, then you can block that time out for the summer that you're going to be there. And then all the other days you can open it up. You have the ability and flexibility to be able to put any days available that you want and then block off any dates. It is still your property, so you can utilize it however you want to. Even if you say, I only want to rent it to a certain caliber of people, or only to family, whatever that looks like, it is your property. You set the rules. So if you want to get into, I don't want the asset, I just want to bring the money, I want to be the lender, not the borrower, then there's hard money lending. So you can become a hard money lender where if you have a nice nest egg or a trust fund or some large lump sum of money and you don't want to get into buying properties and assets yourself, you would just rather get interest off the money that you're investing, then that is an option for you to do that. And so hard money lending, you can allow people to borrow your money and then pay you back with interest over a period of time. I would definitely say do not do a verbal contract or a verbal commitment. You want everything in writing. I don't care if it's your friend, your family member, your coworker, whatever that looks like. You want that in writing, and you want stipulations to how long it will take for you to get your money back, how much interest they're going to pay, what the late fees would look like if they're not paying on time, and how you can get your money back if you have to take this matter to court. So you want to make sure that you have that. So if you don't want to be the lender, but you want to invest in what they call REITs, that is REITs, that is real estate investment trust. It is just like stock. So all of these big companies like Walmart, Target, and some of these other companies, there's also companies that pool their money together and invest in apartment complexes or senior living facilities. Well, you can invest in some of those companies that have IPOs, and you can buy stock in those companies. And those companies, some of those companies can be very profitable. I know there's a lady that's on social media right now called Ashley Fox. She's really good at talking about REITs. She used to work for Wall Street. And a lot of times when I'm looking to move my money around in REITs, I'll pull up her social media to see what REIT she's talking about and invest some money there. So that is a way for you to have stock, but it's stock in companies that own real estate. So that's why it's called a real estate investment trust. Okay. All right, and then there's things like syndication and farmland. I have not done those before, but if those are of interest to you, then definitely look into those. Syndication is where you're getting multiple people to pool their money in together, and then they're going and buy larger assets. So that is an option as well. And then if you want to get into the farmland, you want some chickens, you want some cows, then you can start investing in farmland as well. And there are different types of loan products if you are looking to do that. There's also grants and state funding if you are looking to get into farmland. All right, now if you see, the next one has a pink box around it. This is my wheelhouse. This is where I played. This is where I started my real estate investing journey back in 2009. So this is treating real estate as a business. So what does that mean? Some people like house flipping, right? I have not flipped a house yet, but that was my initial thought when I got into real estate investing. I wanted to flip houses. Why? Because it's fast money, right? You buy the house, you fix it up, you get a realtor to sell it, and then you reap the profits, right? You get any appreciation or value for that property. Now, the big thing about house flipping, you'll see that a lot of people go and buy like foreclosure properties, tax sale properties, and they give themselves opportunities to come into the market or into that property with lower funds, right? A lower amount than what it's actually worth after repairs. And so that's how they're able to fix it up, pay the realtor, and still flip it and sell it and make a good return. So, and there's going to be another video where I'm going to talk about the benefits of flipping versus buying and holding. There's not a right or wrong. You just have to find out what your niche is and what you like to do. So all of these things that I'm mentioning, you don't want to take your money and go invest in all of them or try all these different strategies. That is a recipe for disaster. You want to find the ones that work for you. And then as you master that, right? You don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. You master that strategy, and then you start to play around with other different strategies to see if it's something that you enjoy doing and if it's profitable for you. The long-term single-family homes. So first property that I purchased outside of my primary residence, it was an investment single-family home. That's what SFH stands for, single-family home. And so that is when you have a longer term lease with a residential tenant that you're renting the property out to. So you would buy the property, be it one that you need to fix up and renovate, or one that you just got at a good deal. You've ran the numbers. I'm going to say that again. You've ran the numbers, because we don't just buy the property because it looks good, or because it's in an area that we like, or for whatever other reason outside of it's profitable. You don't invest in something that's not profitable. And in order for you to find out if it's profitable, you have to run the numbers. So you analyze the deal based on the sale price, if any repairs that need to be made, how much you're coming out of pocket for your initial capital to buy the property. Of course, you have to do an inspection. Every purchase that you have that is a real estate investment, or even your primary resident, you want to do an inspection. And then, of course, you have to find out what the rents are for that property. That goes for multifamily as well. Whatever unit you're going to be renting out, you got to find out what's market rents, and then you can go a step further and start looking into what subsidized rents would be. So that's like Section 8 or any other government assistance programs that you have in your area. Sometimes market rent pays more than subsidized programs. Sometimes subsidized programs pay more than market rate. So you got to know the area that you're in and what you're able to command in that area. Is it more of a Section 8 area where you know what you can get in Section 8, or is it more of a market rate? And so there's opportunities for you to find out what the rent should be for that property. A couple of those ways would be you can reach out to your realtor, find out what the rents are, what the comps are, right, for rents in that area. Hey, I'm Thais Shabir with Legacy Studios located at Beard Properties in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. If you're dreaming of starting a podcast but don't know where to begin, with Rent the Mic, it's plug and play. You just walk in, sit down, record, and leave. We'll handle the editing, the branding, and the delivery. Customize your set and let our pro team do the rest. No stress, no setup, all done for you. Let's make your podcast dreams a reality. Book your session now at www.beardproperties.net. And then another way that you can go to Rentometer. That's what I use. I go to Rentometer. I have an account with them, and I put in my address for the property that I'm looking to get, what the market rents are, and it tells me what each percentile is. So it's going to give you the 25th percentile, which is very conservative. Then it's going to give you the 75th percentile, and then what the average should be. So you guys know me, I'm very conservative, especially when I'm running the numbers. Now, I'll get aggressive once I buy it, and I know that even at a conservative level, I can still make good money. If I can get aggressive with, asking for higher rents, then I'm going to do that. However, as I'm running the numbers, I'm going to use the 25th percentile. Now, you're probably thinking, but you can get more than that. Why not use average? Again, if it works on average, then it's going to work on conservative, or vice versa. If it works on the conservative numbers and I can get more, that just makes my deal sweeter. But I don't want to go in an investment thinking that I can get a higher number for rent, and I cannot. And now I've based my whole 30-year decision in the money that I've just invested on a what if. I never want to do that. So I always want to be conservative and go with the 25th percentile. So once you've done all of that, now you buy the property, you put a tenant in it, and then you continue to either manage it yourself, or you have a property manager to manage that property for you. But that is a strategy that I do today that I probably will do throughout my investing journey in real estate. So that is something that I love. Another thing is multifamily. And you'll see the ones that I operate in is in gold. So multifamily is another one that I use. And multifamily is having one property that has multiple units. So that can be anywhere from a 2-unit, one roof, 2 units under the roof, or a 4-plex. And then, of course, we know larger sets of apartments, right, with 60 units, 70 units, 100 units, and so forth. That is called multifamily properties, right? Or some people call it apartments, whatever you desire for that. So with multifamily, that is a great way to go if you want to house hack. That is also a great way to go if you are looking to get multiple incomes coming in under one property. I'll tell you the benefit of multifamily. With a house, if you have a tenant that moves out, and then nobody moves in that property for 6 months because of whatever reasons, inflation, maybe there's some renovations that need to get done before you move the next tenant in, whatever that looks like. With multifamily, if somebody moves out of one, guess what happens on the other side? You still have somebody paying rent, and hopefully it's taking care of all or most of your expenses on that property. So that is one of the greater benefits of multifamily properties, is you constantly have something doesn't go right on one side, you have another side. Or if you have a 4-unit property, then now if 2 people move out, you still have 2 in there. So your chances of getting all of your money is greater because you have multiple people paying for that one property, right? And when you do a multifamily property loan, it's not like you're financing, give you an example, a quadruplex. It's not like you're financing 4 different units. You're financing 1 unit, you're paying 1 mortgage, but you're collecting rent from 4 different people. Okay, so that is multifamily properties. There's vacation or short-term rentals. This is another good Airbnb play. There's commercial real estate. So that is also something that I operate in. If you guys see the studio that we're in right now, this is one of the properties that I own. We have tenants that lease space for professional office suites. I took one of the units and turned it into the podcast studio. So you're probably thinking, okay, Taisha, how is that making you money? Well, when we bring tenants in for professional office spaces, and we've had multiple, counselors, therapists, we even had a photographer that took one of the rooms and made it a studio. All these people come in, we put them on a contract. Contracts can be month to month. Contracts can be 2 years. You get to make that decision and set the terms on your conditions. The podcast studio. Yes, I record the Legacy Discussion podcast here in the studio. And when I do that, that doesn't pay me, right? But when I'm not here, I do rent the studio out for other podcasters. So there's always a way to make money in real estate. You just have to think outside of the box, right? I'm only using the studio 1 day a month, and we record that 1 day. Well, the other 29 days or 30 days, depending on if the month has 31 days in it, it is sitting empty. So, of course, you got to think, how can I make money off of this and recoup what I spent on equipment and everything else? Then you can rent the studio out, right? Like Airbnb, just like the studio, you can choose that, hey, I would rather not have anybody else in my space, and that is fine. But just know that it's costing you, it's not bringing you money in. I'm always looking for whatever I invest in, how can I leverage it? Be it leveraging and going to the bank and getting some equity out to go buy another asset, or leveraging it for cash flow, all right? There's land development if you want to become a developer. I have not done that yet, but that is a goal of mine in the next few years, to start developing on land that I'm purchasing. I'm going to talk to you guys in a minute when we get to the next section about tax sale properties, where I buy land and you get this land at a really good price. I'll tell you a story about what we just closed on yesterday, but then you have the ability to start building on that land. Now, it comes with just more than just buying the land and building, but that is something that you can do, is start purchasing land and then eventually developing houses. You can put trailers, you can put whatever you want on it, depending on that parish and what you get approved with the permit. Mobile home parks. I know some friends that have done this. They've bought the land, they have the land, and they just buy a whole bunch of mobile home parks and they rent them all out. So that is also an opportunity. On the other side, the next box, it talks about wholesaling. And I'll tell you what wholesaling is. I do not wholesale myself, but I work with wholesalers. So if you are interested in becoming a wholesaler, this is you finding people that have vacant properties or distressed properties that they are looking to offload. They're looking to get rid of. So a lot of times you might find some of those on the MLS, where you have realtors that'll come in and show you those properties or list them on the website and people buy them. But a lot of times they're sold through wholesalers. And so wholesalers will come in and say, hey, if you're interested in selling this property, I have a contact list. I have a Rolodex. Let me find a buyer for you. And what they do is they might put a contract for, let's just say the seller wants to sell the property for $10,000. They may go and find a buyer that will buy it for $20,000. Well, that difference between the 20 that the buyer is going to give and the 10 that the seller wants, that extra 10 goes to the wholesaler. So there's opportunities for you to do that. Now, that is a grind, I will say, but there's so many successful people doing it today. I am more interested in working with the wholesalers because you get first dibs on a lot of properties that never make it to market, that never make it to MLS, where you're getting these people to send you emails telling you about these properties, or personally calling you on the phone saying, hey, Taisha, I got this deal. Wanted to check with you first to see if you wanted it. I get all the information. I run the numbers. If it's something that cash flows and it's a good investment, then I say, hey, don't even market it. Don't even call nobody else. I'll take it. And then there's sometimes where it's like, hey, that's a good deal for somebody else. It's just not a good deal for me. So I like being able to get all of those leads coming in so I could get first look at it to see if it's something that I want to invest in. Okay. And then let's talk about tax liens. I'm going to do a video on tax liens. I get a lot of questions about that too. So just yesterday, I sold a piece of land in Sorrento, Louisiana that I had purchased from a tax sale in 2020. In the state of Louisiana, you have to wait 3 years for the redemption process, meaning whoever the original owner is that never paid taxes on that property from that 3-year period, they can come back and redeem the property, which means they go to the courthouse or they go to the assessor's office and they make all of their back pay on taxes, and they also pay interest. What happens to your money? They send you a check back for everything that you've paid on it plus interest. So you really can't lose. Now, there are some stipulations in there, which I found out over the last few years, where you have to be careful and read the dotted lines, because sometimes the assessor's office will make a mistake and they will put a property on there, or they will have the lot number incorrect, or they would mess up something to where it's your fault. Or it's not your fault, it's their fault, but they have the opportunity or the right to only pay you back a certain amount of what you've already paid. So I would say be careful with that. I'm not looking for the tax properties that's $20,000. Not me. Some people are. I'm playing in that $1,000, $2,000 mark, where I know if for some reason the assessor's office messed something up with the description of the lot number, or whatever that looks like, or maybe that property was not supposed to be listed, then I am willing to be okay with losing that, whatever money I'm out of pocket. Okay. But a lot of times, I will say that has not happened a lot, but there are times that does happen. And that did happen to me a couple times. And I think I was out, I don't know, maybe $3,000. I moved on because I've made so much money, with these properties, that $3,000 was like no big deal. So anyway, I closed on a property in Sorrento. It was a small piece of land. Truthfully, I wasn't going to do anything with it but hold on to it and leverage it, probably borrow against it to go buy something else, right? And there was a daycare owner that wanted to buy the property. And I don't know if she wanted to build a playground for the children or additional parking, but whatever. She reached out to me because this is public information. Once you are a taxpayer and you're paying taxes on a property, somebody can go in and see who owns the property. And these people start looking for you because they want to know if you're interested in selling or whatever the case is. And so this lady reached out to me about a year ago and wanted to buy the property, wanted to buy that land. Anyway, we got to an agreement. We got everything worked out. I closed on that land just yesterday, and made an 840% return on my investment. Does that happen all the time? No. Is it profitable? Absolutely. And if you are looking to come into the real estate investing market at a low cost, this is a way to get in. I want to say I only spent the first year taxes could have only been, I think, like $100 or $200. And then, of course, you pay on that throughout the years over that 3-year period. And then at the end of that 3-year redemption period, you have to hire an attorney, a real estate attorney, to file the paperwork for you. So that is an additional cost, right? And that is not cheap, but still, I made an 840% return on investment just because I made that purchase several years ago. Okay, so that is a way to get into the business. If you look at the goals on the screen, I'm not investing in all of these. I'm only investing in certain ones. There's some that I am interested in investing in the near future, but I'm not trying to do it all at the same time, because you will lose your money if you're not mastering these different strategies. Okay. So I would encourage you to find what it is that you want to do and how you want to get into the market. Base it on your time, base it on your financial situation, your financial health, and base it on what you enjoy doing. I like the buy and the hold. I like to know that when I leave this earth, that my children will still be collecting on that, on those properties. My grandchildren, my great grandchildren will still be collecting on those properties. Will they have to manage and keep it up? Absolutely. But they can still cash flow on that for years and years to come. A lot of times, what we do is we start selling too fast and we don't give the opportunity for the appreciation, because that's where the real money comes in. Think about all of those people, like our parents or grandparents or great grandparents that had homes back in the day. That was probably, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000. What would they be worth today? Who knows? But they sold it. So nobody gets it, right? There was probably a profit at the time, a small profit, but think about what the profit can be now, or how that property can be leveraged to go and buy something else. So think about what you want. If you are interested in connecting with our multiplier community, you can go to www.theassetmultiplier.com and book a free 15-minute call with me, and I will help you or give you recommendation on how to enter into the real estate investing market. Thank you guys so much. I am your host of the Legacy Discussions podcast. I am Taisha Beard, and let's remember to leave legacies and not liabilities.